Yo, what is going on, guys? We're going to be talking about our League start plan build for Path of Exile 3.21 Crucible League today, and I've decided to go with a comfy, oldie but goodie Absolution build. I'm going to have my leveling POB down in the description, so make sure to go check that out, and come out with a full endgame build by the end of the week. So make sure to come back here for updates on that. Be sure to follow, subscribe, check it out down below. Let's get into it, because I love to talk about Absolution. It's one of my favorite builds out there. And even before we jump into the slideshow, I just want to get it out of the way of how awesome this ability looks. It's really one of the reasons that drew up into this. It's one of my favorite abilities. It looks sweet. Here we can see it from the Path of Exile Twitter. This is Vaal Absolution. You summon Innocence. He does looks like some big AoE abilities. I want to talk more a little bit about that right away. So let's just jump into it. Here we are. New Vaal version. So this is, as I said, Absolution, one of my favorite abilities. I love playing Minion playstyle. There was no way I was not going to not play this ability. Innocence looks incredible. We know like a lot of his abilities do, so hopefully we see some of us integrate into the new Vaal version of this ability. Absolution is probably one of the easiest leveling experiences you'll have in Path of Exile. It's super strong through the axe, super strong in white, yellow mapping, and just with the right gear can scale super high into bossing red maps. Really easy. So the other reason I want to do this build is I think it's super good for Crucible for like two big reasons. One that I think people aren't talking about enough, and then one that's kind of pretty obvious. And the only downside that I have to this build is it's a pretty slow mapper. I'd say not the slowest, but like medium paced. You basically just run around, but you don't ever get like super fast abilities. You're not just one-shotting the entire screen. You need to take your minions with you to place for them to do their damage. Once they're there, they take care of the job themselves. Pretty easy. And that's really what I look for. I look for a nice, easy playstyle. I'm basically just walking, controlling the minions, pressing some buttons as we go. Alright, so why is this good for Crucible? This is kind of a big deal. I think there's like two parts to this league mechanic, and this build does both of them very well. So the first one is pretty much every minion build is historically good at like controlling areas. They are super good at like Blight, Expedition, anything like that, Ritual, where you can set up a bunch of minions, and they basically act like turrets, and just anything that spawns is obliterated. So that's essentially what we're going to do here, and we get another huge AoE boost from having Innocence as the Vaal Absolution. You can just see some of the big AoEs that Innocence was doing in the preview video. So that's awesome, so it's good at doing that. But what about the second part? What about the Crucible trees? Why is a minion build so good for the Crucible trees? And it really comes down to one of the FAQs, I think it was 2 days ago. They talked about trees aren't randomly generated. They're dependent on the weapon or shield type, what kind of passes you're going to get. So this is huge for minion builds because you use two minion-specific items. You use a Convoking Wand and a Bone Shield. These both should have minion-specific capacity trees with minion-specific T5s at the end. I'm guessing Bone Shield's going to have some sort of defensive minion T5, and Convoking's going to have some sort of offensive, but combined, I think these are going to be super powerful for your minions. Again, that's all speculation, but this comment right here really gets me going in the direction that these are going to have a huge impact on the game, and that minions are going to benefit greatly from it just because of the way their weapons work. Okay, what's new for Absolution? Really, this is a build that's been pretty tested, pretty just good. Like everybody knows, I think by this point, Absolution's a good build. It's not the best, but it's quite good. So what's new? Because there's like some new things in the masteries that I think are very important, and other items that have changed. Let's jump into that. So first of all, Vaal Absolution, obviously. They gave us the entire skill ability right off the bat here, which is great. But so Innocence is awesome, and that's great. You can read through this ability quick. One of your current Sentinel's Absolution becomes Innocence, and you can actually summon another one again, so you don't lose a minion there. I think it's very important. You get your 3 normal guys and 1 Innocence. So that's huge. If you read through the description, we only saw one ability Innocence was doing, I think, in the like preview trailer for it, but it says become more powerful, gaining new spells. I think the S there important is going to have multiple spells. Well, that's awesome. The other big thing to take away from here is Vaal Absolution has a very big soul gain prevention window, 30 seconds. and it actually gets bigger based on modifiers to skill effect duration. So, base duration of Innocence is 15 seconds, and base duration of Soul Gain Prevention is 30 seconds, so it's half the time. This is a big, big deal, because basically, regular Absolution can now take a huge benefit from all the mods that are increased damage with non-Vaal skills during Soul Gain Prevention. Basically, about 2/3 of the time, roughly, it's a little bit less than that because you have to get the souls to summon Innocence again. But roughly 2/3 of the time, you're going to be in Soul Gain Prevention. So these items, these mods on boots and gloves that give you 71 to 80% increased damage with non-Vaal skills during Soul Gain Prevention apply to your 3 Absolution minions. This is one of the biggest buffs for Absolution I think we've seen in a long time. If there's some Reddit detective or some super brilliant minion guru down below, or Vaal ability guru down below that thinks this works a way other than I'm thinking, please leave a comment, let me know. But this is like huge damage. You can potentially get like 160% increased damage for 66% of the time. That's huge. Huge. Okay, what else changed? We're going to talk about the passive tree a little bit then. So we get easier access to the plus max elemental resistance. This build historically has a hard time getting spell suppression because it's on the other side of the tree from where you want to be. So I worked with a couple of builds to try to get this to spell suppression, and it just ends up not being worth it. Like, you can't go cluster jewels, you end up getting really sketchy, like travel nodes. It's just not great. So what we usually do is we go for max spell block with Bone Offering. The downside of spell block is you miss sometimes. It's capped out at 75, 77 if you go for the +2 max mastery. But the upside now is we can easily achieve +2 max Ele Res from the new masteries, Armor and Reservation. I'm going to jump into POB quick, and we're going to take a look at those. So the Reservation efficiency is one that we already take on this build. It's like, everybody takes this, right? Thing is, it adds a new Reservation mastery, +1 all maxers if you reserve life and mana. It is super easy to link Arrogance to Precision or Vitality. I use Precision because I want my minions to crit more. So you link Arrogance to Precision. Ends up using about like 400, 500 of your life to reserve. But you get +1 all max res. This is super worth. It's something I would do anyways, whether I got this node or not. So this is a no-brainer. You don't. Now, in my final build of this, I'm only using this Reservation node. And you're going to go, oh, you're not using the 10% effective auras on you. I don't care about the auras on myself for the most part in this build. The only one that really would affect me is Determination. It's way more of a bigger effective hit pool to get the +1 all max res. The other way we're getting the +1 all max res is from the new Armor Mastery node. +1 all max res if helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have armor. This is an armor-based build almost exclusively. We use Eldritch Battery, so we get a little energy shield and a little bit of evasion. Tops off. But we're basically using armor everywhere. This is super easy. This is just basically a free +1% all max res. So, and this node's quite good. This is a node people were using for the Determination Reservation efficiency before. It's still quite good though. You can go either way. Alright. Next I'm talking about is the new recovery node. This is added right next to the minion wheel. Conveniently placed, it gives us like a good base regen. I actually recommend taking this during Axe. You can get to it like around the middle of the Axe. And it has a nice mastery for minion corpse builds. We're going to talk about that real quick. Jump back into POB. So we get base life regen, base life regen. Then we get the keystone, Surge of Vigor. Every 4 seconds, regenerate 50% of life over 1 second. That's pretty awesome, actually. This build doesn't get life regen super easily. This is one way to get it. But even better, the master here, every 3 seconds, consume a nearby corpse to recover 10% of life. We're constantly casting Desecrate with this build. It is the end game, but it's just to cast Desecrate over and over to get Bone Offering up. Using one of those corpses to recover 10% of life every 3 seconds. Perfect. Rolls right into what we're trying to do with this build. Alright, next thing we're talking about, Dark's Enthroned got buffed. So it now can roll between 50 to 100% increased effect instead of just being stuck on 75. At 100% with like an even like average minion jewel, you're looking at plus 120 life, plus 70% minion damage when you use the minion spell recently, which you're always doing, so it's just constant plus 70% minion damage. And then plus whatever else you get on there. I, for one, am going Abyss right off the bat, hoping to get some amazing like tier 6 6 mod Abyss Duels to slap in a 100% increased effect Darkness Enthroned. I think this is like just another added layer to Absolution to take it off the charts. Alright, so getting towards the end here, I do have to mention the downsides of this build, because I know a lot of people don't like it. First of all, it's a minion build. This is just a no-go for a lot of people. It's a certain playstyle, I understand that. But I think it's a minion style I really enjoy, where I'm just like in control of an army and we're flooding towards the enemy. It's fun for me. Now, it's a medium-paced mapper. It's not a super good mapper, but it's very tanky. It kills bosses well. I'll take the downside of not being a fast mapper. And the last thing is permanent minions can be cringe. We've seen some issues with permanent minions trying to keep them alive recently. I've gone for some defensive minion nodes on the tree, actually, to prevent that. So I'll have that in my POB. Speaking of which, leveling guide. Full leveling guide, act by act, in the POB. Act by act has a skill tree in the in the link below. So check it out, let me know what you think. And I'll be happy to answer questions in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. Catch you guys next time. Bye.